Potato is tomato.
Hello, today is January 18th, 2022. We are so sorry for the horribly long intersection between our last podcast and this one. Life has kind of just been catching up with us.
Today we're going to be talking about school drills like fire drills, lockdowns, and all those other types.
And it looks like the first drill we got today is fire drills. Now, what is your discussion on this one?
Well, as you know, fire drills happen all the time. We have it like 3 times a year. And there's a lot of things with fire drills. Number one, we do them the most because they're the most risk of actually happening. So people need to be ready so that they know what to do. But some of the things, in schools, they have those fire alarms, which is very in reach of anybody who would want to pull them. So there's one of the things I remember is little kids pulling the fire alarms randomly, because number one, they didn't know what they were, and number two, they're just being weird. So, from my perspective, it's just if on a normal day it would be fine, but some of the times where it would get annoying is like the winter time, because as you know, in a fire drill, there's no time to throw on a coat, there's no time to throw on your boots, so you'd have to walk outside in your t-shirt or sweatshirt in like negative weather, with just your shoes on, and it's annoying, but at the same time, sometimes those little kids just don't understand.
Yeah, I agree with you on what you said there, especially the part where the drill, the little lever is just perfectly in the reach of children, but that could also be because, let's say a child is walking to the washroom and they notice a small fire. They don't have to tell a teacher about the fire before it could spread. It's just at the right height where they can pull it in case a fire does happen. But yeah, I definitely think that you really don't know what to do in that situation, because either the school might burn down because the lever is too far up the wall for the child to reach, or like you said, the whole school has to go outside in the snow with only what they have on when the fire alarm is pulled. And I just feel like it's I'll say it's in a very strange place.
Yeah, one of the things though, if you pull a fire alarm, on purpose, like let's say impress someone or just being stupid, there are massive consequences to that, which scares people into not doing it. Which is good, because then you don't have a bunch of people pulling fire alarms, because every time the fire alarm is pulled, and because when a fire drill does happen, they call the fire department and tell them, hey, we're doing a fire drill right now. So it's but when a kid pulls it or something happens like that, and when the fire alarm is pulled, it's different because it's not notifying the police, hey, this is an actual fire. So the police and the fire department and all these people, they show up, and sirens wailing and all that, and they go to the school and they have to search the entire school, make sure there's no fire. And it's a really big deal because of weather. Maybe there's another fire happening somewhere else, and the fire department should have been there. So it's a big deal when a kid pulls it accidentally, on purpose, whatever. And so it's just you got to be careful.
Yeah, it's a very hard thing to think about, because like you said, and like what I said, it's either you're gonna get your school burned down, or the fire drills or the fire alarm's gonna be pulled about 5 times in a school year. Now, to move on to our next drill, lockdown. Now, have you ever been in the situation where a lockdown wasn't a drill, it was an actual thing?
Um, yes, once in my school there we did have a lockdown. This was when I was little, so I don't really remember. It's more of people telling me what happened. But there was once a cat that got into our school, so an entire Holden Secure. I think this was before the entire lockdown happened, but I think this was before I actually got into the school, or maybe when I was very, very little. But a cat got into the school, so an entire Holden like lockdown happened, and the entire school just sat there as a cat walked around the hallways, and that's always been a story that kind of everyone has known coming from our school.
It's quite dumb for that thing to happen. Like a cat walked into a school and they called the Holden Secure.
And with the whole cat thing, it's like if someone, it actually is a big deal because some people might be allergic to the cat. Some people, like there could be people who the cat could have rabies. They don't know. So it was a good idea for them doing it. It's just like it's funny how it did happen, but at the same time, it was the right call because people could be allergic. People, the cat could have like some sort of disease or something like that. So it was, yes, it was a good idea to hold and secure, but it was just it was funny that it was a cat.
Now, for our next drill, we're going to be talking about bomb threats. Now, I've never been in this situation where this has happened, but I know some stories of where it's happened to other people.
Well, bomb theft more happen. Like this is more of a thing where these things like never ever happen in case unless it's someone who's broken into the school. But otherwise, these never ever happen anymore because this was more of a thing from in the war when there would be like planes flying overhead and all that type of stuff. So some people might have experienced it. You might be older. I don't know. We wanted to add this because we did hear about the word bomb threats and we had learned about it before.
Now, what would happen let's say if you were in the washroom and one of these drills happened? Any advice for that?
Personally, I'm lucky. This never really happened to me. But like it depends on the drill. Fire drill wise, I don't know what you would do because when the like a fire alarm would happen and you're you're going to the washroom, like are you just expected to just finish immediately and just run outside? It's because it could be hard for you to just stand up and run. But with like let's say lockdown, I'm pretty sure that someone does come around and lock the washroom doors. I think I don't. I think you're supposed to. From what I've heard, I think what you're supposed to do in a lockdown is to pick up your feet, and like not really stand on the toilet, but hold your feet to your chest. But yeah, I haven't. It's never really happened to me, and I don't really know too much on it.
It's a very strange topic for like a fire drill because you either have in your pants as you run outside or you burn to death. And I don't know about anybody else, but both those seem like pretty horrible options. So it's it's a very hard decision if that ever happened, if there's an actual fire. Now, like you said, for lockdowns, yeah, that is what you're supposed to do. You were told if you were in the washroom, you put your you go up on the toilet so that they can't see under if they peek under the stall. But yeah, that's what I have to say on that one.
Yeah, and for hold and secure is like is really like that's the next drill we're gonna talk about. But hold and secure If you were in the washroom with that, nothing really happens because a hold and secure really is, it's not really a big deal. They just basically lock all the outside doors, and you're just supposed to like you just continue what you're doing. It's, let's say if I don't know, there was like a robbery across the street, we do a hold and secure. So there's those aren't really like a big thing. So if you're in the washroom and that were to happen, you'd be pretty fine.
So, for our next thing, we're going to be talking about what you do in these situations. Now, for the first one, we're talking about fire drills, and I'm going to be taking this one. And for a fire drill, either the alarms will start going off, which alerts the teachers to evacuate the building, and each class has a different route out of the building for the quickest way out. And once you stay outside, the fire and the ambulance and the police usually come if there is a fire, and they'll check if anyone's injured, or if the firefighters will put it out. And you stand outside, and if you have to, you'll evacuate the area if they need it.
And now I just want to add on to what you said with the fire drills. In COVID right now, it's a bit the when we do a drill, which is not actually the real thing. When we do a drill, we actually what we do is we go the classes go out kind of one at a time, and we do a lot more social distancing. But if it was a real fire, we would all just file out the doors as quickly and as calmly as possible, and we wouldn't be really thinking about COVID in that current moment. And now I'm going to talk about the lockdown situation. In a lockdown, from what I know, in a lockdown, what would happen is there would be an announcement on the speakers, and the teachers would go and lock the doors and put something over the window, and then everybody would group up to a place somewhere in the classroom that is usually marked with like a red circle or something, and everyone would go there and it would be a place where no one can see you through a window, and you're safe in that position and no one knows you're there.
I'm going to be taking the topic of hold and secure. In a hold and secure, like Bucket said, it's usually if it's not directly to the school, like there'll be a robbery or someone reported close to the school. And basically, it's kind of like a lockdown, but you remain still as the normal school would go. But the doors are locked. Sorry, a hold and secure is basically just the minor version of a lockdown.
And just to add to that, if you were to be in a portable, you would actually just come inside for the hold and secure. So yeah, that's if you were in a portable. I just wanted to add that.
And for bomb threats, I don't really know, so we're gonna skip that one because we are not educated enough on the topic to know what to do. And now, before we start to close this off, we do have a couple little stories that we do want to tell. One of the things that did happen once is there was once a lockdown in our school. It was around Christmas time, and I had I had a Christmas sweater on, like an ugly Christmas sweater on. It had bells on it. And as you know, with the lockdowns, you're supposed to stay there and remain quiet. And I was not at all, because I was just jingle, 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 jingle as I just stood there. And I ended up having to just take off my sweatshirt entirely, which made even more noise. So that was a funny story that once happened to me when there was a lockdown drill.
Now, I've been in a situation where there's a suspicious person outside this school, so the office called a lockdown, And at the time, I was quite frightened because I didn't really know what was gonna happen in this scenario. But I've never been in like a serious lockdown where someone has entered the school and they have a firearm on them. Now, just before we end, we want to get some suggestions from you guys. If you have any podcast ideas, you can go to our website and fill out a discussion forum. The link to the website will be in our description, and thank you very much.
And now we're going to talk about why everyone needs to know about this and the risks. We all know all the risks, and we know what to do, but the reason we do it is because some people, mainly like the kids, they need to know this is what we do, and the reason we do it multiple times is we do it, I don't know the exact number, it's like 3 or something a year, and the reason we do them is because for kids that forgot, kids that were like online, they are like getting taught from home and they didn't know, and it needs to be reminded multiple times because it's a very serious thing, and if it were to happen, the schools that you're in, they are responsible for you, and if anything happens to you, they could get in big trouble. And so they want to make sure that everyone knows exactly what to do, how to do it, and they do these things because there are really big risks, and some of these things, like, they're very serious topics.
Now, unfortunately, that brings us to the end of our time today. Thank you very much for listening. Like we said, the link to our discussion forum will be in the podcast description. Thank you so much for all the support, guys, and we're so sorry we missed almost 2 weeks of podcasting. Like we said, life kind of just caught up with us. Thank you.
And just before I say goodbye, I'd just like to give a shout out to my grandma right now, who is in the hospital, and I hope that you get better, and goodbye. Potato is tomato.